Hi, my name is Minara Begum. I am a loan officer with DMV Residential Financing. I've been in this industry for some time now, and I have with me today Samina Bilala. She is a born and raised DMV realtor with Remax Galaxy. Hi, Samina. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me here.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good. It's a busy Saturday from one mom to another mom, and it's just weekends are busy for us. Even if we're not working on through the days, we're still working.
Exactly. We have a lot of clients that are available only during the weekend. Are not available Monday through Friday. But even if you are, juggling multiple things, maybe picking up kids, dropping off kids, we still have to make time for our clients based on their schedules and their needs. Maybe weekends, weekdays, evening, morning, you name it. But yeah, it's part of the actual career, being part of a realtor life. It's busy, busy, busy on, and just be able to multitask and be able to, juggle, as they say, life work balance.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, no, I appreciate your time here today. I know with school getting started, it's a lot on our hands right now, but one thing I do want to focus is that Samina's been an amazing realtor. We've worked with her over the years, and she's helped so many clients. And we would like to just kind of touch base on that, just to kind of see if we can get an idea of different kind of clients you've helped and the different scenarios we've dealt with, and how. Just give us a little bit about that.
So, for me, it's everybody's situation is different. I like to connect with my clients on a professional side and personally, in the sense that I like to see what their situation is. Everybody's situation is different, right? Some people just came to the country and just settling down and would like to buy. Some people have been here for many, many, many years and are thinking about buying, upgrading, downgrading, or even like they want to now go into buying multiple houses, right? And they just don't know the process, and they just feel that it's not, they can't do it. And everything's doable. We just talk, discuss their situation, analyze it, and see what's the best route for them based on their situation. I've had clients that just came, like I said, came to the country, and they're like, I don't have the 2 years experience in this job, and we're like, well, that's okay, it's okay. We can maybe use what you've been doing back home or wherever you were working prior. Use some of that to cover the 2 years time and get you qualified. There's situations where we have people that don't have the best credit. That's fine. That's just life. Things happen. We can help you build it. It might not be able to get you qualified right away, but we can build it. We can get everything taken care of. A lot of people are business people. They think that, hey, since we show so many deductions, how do I qualify?
Right.
Well, you could get a cosigner. We can tell you how to go about, building stuff. There's other situations where people think that down payment's an issue.
Right.
Hey, my credit's great, my job's good, but I haven't been able to save. Well, we can probably pull it out of your 401k. We can pull it out of your stocks. We can, maybe a gift, And there's other programs that we have that you know about also,
Right.
being in this business, for, down payment assistance. You have situations where, you have somebody that's going to be giving you the gift, and all of a sudden the borrower decides they're no longer going to be able to help you. What do you do then? Or we had a situation, it was unexpected, but we know a lot of people lost their jobs throughout
Right.
this whole process. And we're literally 2 weeks before closing, and they lost their job. So what do? We got an extension. We were able to get an extension, and they were, very lucky to get another job. And we just needed the acceptance letter. They didn't have to start, but we were able to work around any situation. We can think outside the box, based on the client situation, their needs, their
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that most people don't seem to understand is that most people think, oh, I don't have this credit score, I don't have the down payment, so it's like a dead end for them. What we do is, and you know what, hey, let's talk about it, let's find out the situation. What we do is we try to find a way, an avenue to solve their problem. If we cannot help you buy a home today, let's work out a plan where we can work something out in 6 months. And that's one thing about us is that we work individually with our clients, and that's I know you're also really good with that as well. We don't look at our clients as like, okay, it's a one whole thing. No, every situation is different. Everyone's situation is different. So situational base is what we go off of. So before I go and start, I'd like to kind of get an idea of like, how did you get started on this? You're a mom. You also work as an IT specialist. Correct. So like to also be able to do this, my God, you're juggling so many things at once.
I started in, as you mentioned, I was born and raised here, but I started going towards medical first. So I worked for an ophthalmologist. My education, I started off and went into the medical side. So I worked in the medical field for almost 15 years, 10, 15 years. And then I was like, you know what? I always had that passion for IT, right? I was like, this is me, right? I always like to keep on moving forward, keep on challenging, trying new things, right? So I went on and started working towards IT, went back to college. I went on and got my there's that connection. How can I make a difference in anybody else's life, and just help people in general? So I started going to real estate. I got my license and started helping people, and I enjoy it. I'm licensed in Virginia and Maryland, and I meet so many different people, and it's just making that relationship and that connection is really important for me. So that's how I made it here.
Your story sounds just like mine because that's exactly where I'm as well. I grew up in New York and then I went to college in Florida, got married, and here I am. I've been here since 2011. I'm also in the IT industry as well, and my husband will tell you that you cannot sit there for anything. I can't. I always have to do something. I'm also big on like learning. I feel like, we shouldn't just sit on one thing itself. Always learn, educate yourself in one field or another. Mm-hmm. So I definitely got into the loan officer business because I felt like I was very uneducated on how the whole loan process works. Or it's just not something. And I've had a lot of friends and family who would be like, oh, they don't know how the loan process works. They feel like they can go to a bank and then as soon as they get denied, this is the end of it. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of like my situation. I didn't necessarily understand the whole process of it. Though over the years we bought and sold multiple homes, I just never was in the process. And then, my husband was like, no, you've got to understand the entire process. And then I also had a Tamid, he kind of was like, no, get it, understand it, learn it, you'll be great at it. And I'm also a people person. I love talking. I love kind of getting that one-on-one interaction. Purchasing a home.
too. So I know for us, it's not just numbers.
Right, absolutely.
It's definitely numbers. It's how many people have we been able to touch in a way to make their dreams come true. It's not about how many we get. Of course, we'll make sure you get to the table, right?
Right.
But it's not a number game for us. And there's a lot of companies that are out there that it is a number game.
Right.
For us, it's more of a relationship.
Yeah.
And one good relationship leads to another good relationship.
Absolutely.
To another relationship.
We do want to help our community. We want to help people that are also outside of this country who comes as a student on a student visa, or just people that works in the embassy. They want to buy a property in America. Like we do that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Most people feel like, oh, I don't have a credit score. I don't have income to show that can I purchase something in America. You can absolutely do it. It's just a lack of education or knowledge, you can say, that people don't know they can do it. There's so many different avenues that people can take, and I feel like this is why we've been around for 30-something years, because we tell them, look, we have a solution. Don't just take the first step to take that initiation to find out. There's always a solution.
And I want to touch on the student visa. A lot of student visa students think that they can't qualify for buying a house. They go over there and they're renting. And renting's fine, based on the situation, that's fine. But if you're here for 2 years or 4 years or however many years you're here, you can buy. You can later on sell and make some profit versus just paying rent and paying somebody else's mortgage. Again, everybody's situation is different, and sometimes that's the best they can do. But we can qualify people with student visa. We can qualify people with that, as I mentioned, came overseas.
Absolutely.
We can assist people with Islamic loans. A lot of people think that, hey, there's only so much that can be done.
Yeah.
There's Islamic loans out there, and just educating them with the whole process of how it goes. And there's FHA, conventional, there's VA loan. I'm military relocation specialist, so I deal with a lot of military people also. So, like you mentioned, there's a lot of opportunities for us to go through a processing and figuring out exactly which loan will work best for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a client that I would like. I'm not going to mention names, but he has a couple of grocery stores in Manhattan, and he goes back and forth. He's not a U.S. citizen here, but he goes back and forth. He was talking to me about like, hey, I go back and forth. Is there any option for me to buy something in New York so I can just like when I'm here I can stay there and then rent it out the rest of the month? I'm like, you absolutely can. He did not know that you could do that. So I'm working with him right now to help him understand the process, and we're going to go through the paperwork and everything. He's like, but I'm from a different country. I'm like, that's okay. That's completely okay. It's complete. We can make this happen. So I'm working with him right now, and he was just so stunned that he's like, I did not know I could do that. I was like, yeah, you can own grocery stores here. You can also own homes here. You can also be an investor over here. Hey, if you're not here, you buy the property, you rent it out, and then when you're, we have a lot of foreign national investors that we're working with as well.
Exactly. I had a client that the borrower decided to back out. He's like, what do I do now, Samina? It's okay. We were able to pull out their 401k, and we were able to make it to the table. We had another situation where the client, like I already mentioned, lost their job. We were able to get the extension. There was another client of mine that was a business person, and they wanted to buy more homes. Well, debt to income ratio, how does that work, Samina? It's okay. If you have enough money to put the down payment, you could do the no-doc one.
Yep.
You can buy multiples. You don't have to worry about, you have to have a good credit.
Absolutely.
And you're able to, for a higher down payment, that goes to your principal, so in the long run it benefits you.
Absolutely.
And we were able to go through that process and look for a solution. We have a couple other people that I'm working with that we just closed on an Islamic loan. He actually got denied from another Islamic loan. And then he came here. I actually brought him here. And we were able to get them pre-approved with an Islamic loan. There's always a solution. You just have to have the right lender and the right realtor
No, absolutely.
to guide you and help you through the process. And once everything is lined up properly, then everything will work out. As you mentioned, sometimes there might be a little delay, a couple months. Some people, of course, we're running and we are able to close right away, right? Some of them we have to take care of a couple of things, right? That's okay.
Yeah,
And but if you make it to the table, if you're able to close, that's the main point, right? And you've accomplished your goal.
right. And that brings me to a point as to why we're able to work with our clients. Is like, a lot of the banks, they have one underwriter, and the underwriter has to work specifically with their guidelines. Where we work with multiple underwriters, right? So what happens is, like, if one scenario doesn't fit, we can talk to the underwriter directly, and they're able to tell us, hey, do X, Y, Z to make sure that this file is ready. So this is how we know that we have multiple underwriters. We can go to different underwriters and get the guidelines to make sure that this client will be qualified to buy a property or to invest in a property. Whatever it is that they're trying to do, we can help them. And like you said, it might take some time. We might have to nurture that file or the client itself, for example, hey, you know what, your credit score doesn't necessarily meet, so let's see how we can make improvements, so in the next 3 months we can kind of help you move on to the process. We never let go of any of our clients. What we do is we just say, okay, you need to do X, Y, Z to be able to do this. And it works, that's one of the best things that we do provide for our clients. We provide a one-on-one service. Absolutely.
Exactly. Going back to family, right? So my son's in soccer, right? My daughter's in other activities also. I have one daughter that's going to college, right? One's in track. So I go to a lot of, events, sports events, and I'll be sitting there talking to different people and just communicating and just discussing different stuff. And there's so many people out there that I notice that think that just because their child going to college, they can't do it. Or because they're first time buyer, they've been renting all this time, they just don't understand how much there's out there, really out there. So I have a blast. Every time I go, I always meet people and just talking about random stuff that makes them feel more comfortable. They're like, I didn't know that. I really didn't know that. That's an option? Seriously? Can I have your number? And I'm like, yeah, and we connect and we talk and we just keep on. If you don't take the first step, as us as realtors, as you as a loan officer, to even, sometimes the other side isn't willing to talk or discuss or open up, as they say, right? But it's a both way. If we take the initiative and just, hey, what do you do for a job? And they're, oh, you're a realtor? Seriously? I would love to buy, but da 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 da. You probably get the same thing, when you go out there and you're like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm a loan officer. Really? Well, I'm thinking about doing this, or I'm thinking about refinancing, and one thing leads to another, and that's when, relationship real bonds happen, and you kind of find your next client. And it's not, as I said, I'm still in touch with the person the first house that I ever sold. Their kids are now growing up like mine, and your daughter's here, my daughter's going here. For me, it's not just that time period. It's an ongoing relationship that builds.
From just coming with a family background as well, we're always trying to figure out like how we can help families, right? Like, we have kids, so now our kids are going to start school. What, Monday? Monday school starting. So it's just like, okay, in the process of all this, we're trying to also figure out like, okay, before I had kids, or when I got married, I actually didn't even think about like buying a home. My husband and I were just like, we're going to travel, right? But then now, as time went on, we purchased our first home and we were able to sell it, and then we bought another one. We were like, why didn't we just do that? The apartment that we were living in, we could have just bought it, and now we could have rented it out and purchased something else. At that time, we didn't think our income wasn't enough, or credit score was fine, but we're like, oh, we don't make enough money to do it.
Mm-hmm. But had just a responsibility.
Right.
Just that responsibility.
Exactly. So someone told me like, no, you can do it. Go ahead and there are so many different ways. Like, do a DSCR. You don't necessarily have to go on income. If you're gonna rent it out, just that one's just based on rental income, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like your cash flow. I wish someone had told me, because then I would have it like 10 years ago. I would have started buying properties, even if it's a 1-bedroom apartment that we lived in, right?
Exactly.
But that's the thing. I didn't know, but now that we know, and now that I have family, I'm like, okay, I wish I had done this.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what led me to go into this, because I do want to educate my families and my friends and even my neighbors that I've become very close with. That hey, no, I can work with you on this, and that's it doesn't seem rewarding at first because it's all like paper trail and all this stuff, but it really is, because you're making a difference in someone's life. Real estate is a huge thing, if you can invest in it, if you can purchase it by being a first-time home buyer. There's just so many quirks to it. When you're renting, you're putting the money in, you're paying somebody else's mortgage, versus when you buy it, you're paying your own mortgage, right? You're paying yourself basically. The equity is yours, and that's, I think, people don't really understand it. They're like, oh, we're renting because I don't qualify for X, Y, Z.
Right. Or I'm not ready right now.
I'm not ready now.
Right, I'm not mentally ready for that. And a lot of people right now are thinking about the interest, right? The interest rate's high. I'm like, I understand the interest rate is high, but the prices is what you want to look at, because that's what you're going to be basically stuck with for 30 years, right? Unless you do more payment towards the principal. But there's a solution for the interest rate being high. If the interest rate comes down, the prices will go up. And clients, it takes a little bit of repeating this over and over, that prices will go up. You're going to be stuck with that price. You have agreed to pay that price, right? Versus the interest rate, you can refinance.
Absolutely.
So lock the price at a good, when the interest rate is slightly high, of course, right now it's the buyer's market, so we're able to negotiate and do get a lot of incentives, based on the actual property, right? And the property situation. But you're able to get a good deal now with the interest rate being high. Get it, lock it. Interest rate comes down, refinance. Now you have the best rate and the best price. And while other people at that time are buying when the interest rate's down, you'll notice your equity is going to be going up, because of the fact that you bought it when the price was right. It's all about being the right price.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you on that, because about 2 years ago, I used to live in a townhome, or 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I bought a single family home, right? And at that time, I didn't necessarily look at the rate. I just said I want to, like, this house works for my family. I have 2 kids, obviously. We need a little bit of a backyard and school. Looking at all that, and we purchased it. And though I didn't necessarily look at the rates or the pricing of the home, as long as it fell within our price range, we purchased it. And now, if I was to look at the rate, I would not have purchased it, to be honest. But I'm glad I did, only because what I paid for it 2 years down the line, like, it's worth a lot more. My rate may not be the best. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had the best rate. My townhouse was the best rate.
Right.
However, it was like 2 point something. But I still wanted the single family home because it worked for my family. It worked for my school district. But the value of the property went up so much in the last 2.5 years, right? And of course, when the time is right, I'm gonna refinance.
Exactly.
But this is our family home. This is where my kids are growing up. I'm hoping that this will be my forever home, and if not, then
we'll see. You have equity to put it towards another house.
Exactly.
If that's not your
forever
home, it's okay.
Yeah.
But at least you're paying your own mortgage.
Yeah.
And there's equity there that you can use whenever you're ready to sell to put it towards another property. And then that way your mortgage amount, maybe suppose it's $400K, right?
Right.
Now it's worth $600K. Guess what? You made a $200K equity, right? Now you can go to look for like almost a $600K house and still put the $200K back over there, and you're basically paying the same amount of mortgage. So those are just numbers, but we have to take that first step, because of course prices are going to keep on going up. So even if you start with a townhouse or something small, don't have to jump to that big one. That small property, that townhouse or that condo, whatever works for you at that time, right? is building equity for you to buy that next house.
Right.
The next house. I told that to all my nieces and nephews, you know. And I personally, a lot of people think that I'm doing this myself, right? I had a property, and my rate was great. I, as you mentioned, needed a bigger house based on family needs, right? Family's growing, needs are changing, but that house I didn't sell it. I put on rent. It's giving me enough profit that's paying some of my mortgage here.
Yep.
It works. A lot of people do that, or it's just you just turn around, pay mortgage, extra mortgage.
Right.
That way you're paying off your mortgage sooner. A lot of people do that. And once you go through the process, you realize it's not that difficult. It's not that stressful. It's just taking that first step. I have one client. He's looking for a rental. He can buy, but he's like, I just moved to this area. I just want to see the area before I buy, but I am going to be buying. I told him, hey, there's new construction close by. If you feel in a couple months that this is something you like, this is the area you like, great. What you want to do is let me know. You always want to go to the builder with an agent. I always recommend that, right? Because of the factor, you want to make sure everything that they're promising is being delivered. That being said, give it a few months. If you like the area and you want to do new construction, you can go over there, look at it. While it's being built, your 12 months here is being, utilized with your lease, and when you're ready to move, you're moving into your new home.
Absolutely.
So there's everybody's situation. We go back to the situation. Everybody's situation is different. There's so many renters that I was like, why are you renting? What I'm showing.
Yeah.
And they explain their situation. And like, that's fine. We can work on this. I'll help you find rentals. It's my thing isn't like a lot of people don't like doing rentals but I help renters, I help first time buyers, I investment properties, commercial, anything you want. I can assist you. But that communication and also keeping that follow up going is very important. Just saying, okay, my credit's not good doesn't make taking the step of how we're going to resolve it. You guys are great with that too, rebuilding the credits and all that stuff too. So you guys have a great program out there for that too. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I've had friends come to me and say, they didn't purchase like a property because it was too high. The price was like what, 800,000. Like, it's too high. The rate is also high. 2 years down the line, they're like, oh man, that property went up in value. Of course, it went up in value. Had you purchased that property 2 years ago, you would have had it for 800,000, and right now you're paying about the same rate, right?
Exactly.
But you would have had equity in the last 2 years. So,
exactly.
I have friends that come to me and say that. I'm like, yeah. So
it's a learning curve,
and that's how you learn, right?
Yeah, it's a learning curve, and you know what? You didn't do it then, but let's take care now, right?
Right, absolutely.
Better late than never, as they say, right?
Well, Samina, I do want to thank you for your time. Thank you so much. We've been working together for a couple of years now, and this is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
I absolutely appreciate your time. I know you're a busy mom. I'm a busy mom, but the fact that we're still able to help our community, help our people, that means a great deal.
Definitely, and I appreciate you taking out the time and connecting with us and having this opportunity to just talk, and I really appreciate your time also. Thank you. I don't know, I feel